Good morning, everyone. Hope this finds well. This is Dr. Muhammad Al-Ashtar, and this is a course on academic research for the third year students of English Day and Night classes. This session is about how to write a research abstract. Let's get started. Dear students, by the end of this session, you will be able to define a research abstract, its purpose, significance, and qualities. And also you'll be able to understand and differentiate between the abstract types. As you may know, that there are many different types of abstracts written for different purposes and objectives. You'll also be able to differentiate between good and bad abstracts by providing you with some good examples. You will develop an effective abstract, hopefully, and finally you will be able to differentiate abstracts from introductions. These are the major intuitive learning outcomes that you will be able to cover by the end of this session. Abstract anatomy. First of all, let's understand what an abstract is. Here are many definitions given to this concept. An abstract is defined as a condensed brief summary of a research paper, study, a thesis, a presentation, etc. As you may see here, also an abstract summarizes the major aspects of the entire research, including the purpose, methods, and the research findings, and is usually written in one single paragraph between 50 to 300 words, which is indented on a single spaced. The function of the abstract is to outline briefly all parts of your paper. And the question is here, why do people write abstracts? Put it differently, when is it necessary to write abstracts? Abstracts are usually required for submission of articles to journals, for example, application for research grants, completion and submission of thesis and PhD dissertation, submission of a conference research paper, or applying for a research grant, or when you write a book or chapter proposal, for example, or just like in your case, when you write a graduation research project. These are the major reasons why people write abstracts. The importance and significance of abstracts. Why write an abstract? Abstracts are important for both selection and indexing purposes. Selection, in this case, abstracts allow readers who may be interested in the paper to quickly decide whether it is relevant to their purposes and whether they need to read the whole paper, and also quickly helps readers locate your document. And indexing, on the other hand, most academic journal databases accessed through the library enable you to search abstracts. This allows you for quick retrieval by users. Abstracts usually incorporate the key terms that a potential researcher would use to search. These are the major things that people write abstracts. In this slide, I will talk about the abstract setting. How is abstract set to a certain format? The format of your abstract depends on the discipline in which you are working. However, all abstracts generally cover the following 5 sections. Abstract should cover purpose or reason of writing, problem, methodology, results, and implications. What is the purpose or reason for writing? What's the importance of the research? Why should a reader be interested in the larger work? you should include this in your abstract. As for problem, you should ask yourself the following questions, and of course include an amount of information in your abstract by stating what problem does this work attempt to solve, what is the scope of the project, what's the main argument, thesis, or claim. As for methodology, an abstract of a scientific work may include specific models or approaches used in the larger study. Other abstracts may describe the types of evidence used in the research, as in the humanities and social sciences. As for results, an abstract of a scientific work may include specific data that indicates the results of the project. Other abstracts may discuss the findings in a more general way. And the last part of your abstract format is implications. How does this work add to the body of knowledge on the topic? Are there any practical or theoretical applications from your findings or implications for future research? So these are the major things that you should set your abstracts to. In fact, so what we are trying to say is that the importance given to the different components listed here can vary between disciplines. There, students, you should look at abstracts of research that are similar to your own work as models to be adopted. In this slide, we would like to talk about qualities of a good abstract. What are qualities that reflect good abstract? And in fact, there are many qualities that are assigned to a good abstract, including abstract should be accurate in order to reflect both the purpose and contents of the paper. And also it should be self-contained so that it explains the precise problem and defines terminology, describes briefly both the methods used and the findings, and gives an overview of your conclusions. And also an abstract should be concise and specific. Why? In order to remain within a range of the words given to you. Abstracts should not be evaluative in order to report information, not to appraise or assess the value of the work. Abstracts should also be coherent and readable in a style that uses an active, vigorous syntax and that uses the present tense to describe results, the findings, but the past tense to describe testing procedures. Well, it also should include quantitative and qualitative data. In this case, the layout of your abstract should be developed in one or more paragraph, and this depends on your research in a question. And the length, as we said before, should be should be between 50 to 300 words. And finally, no new information or references, graphs or charts should be included in your abstract. These are the main qualities that reflect good and effective abstracts. In this slide, we will talk about the different types of abstracts. Abstracts are genre sensitive. In this case, components vary according to discipline. For every discipline, there is a special type of abstract, and this is basically different from one to another. An abstract of a social science, for instance, or scientific work may contain the scope of the study, purpose, results, and contents. As for humanities, the work may contain the thesis, background, and conclusion of the larger work. And one of the things we'd like to talk about abstract is that abstract is not a review, nor does it evaluate the work being abstracted, as I had just stated earlier. Let's move on to different types of abstracts. We have what's called structured abstracts and unstructured abstracts, informative and descriptive. The structured abstracts follow the outline pattern described in the first session. That's to say, it follows a rigorous line of formatting by including introduction, methods, review, etc. While the unstructured abstracts take one paragraph with no specific headings and or certain pattern. So as you can see, there is a kind of difference between these two types of abstract. The other type of abstract is called descriptive abstract, which describes the major points of the project to the reader, while the informative abstract informs the audience of all the main points of the paper, and this is wider than the descriptive abstract. The critical abstract, this is another type, but it is rarely used. It describes, critically analyzes, and evaluates the credibility and validity of its study, and often compares it to other related works. And the last type of abstract is called highlight. It's usually written to grab the reader's attention to the study. And as you can see here, we have many different types of abstracts that take a different pattern or different structure. Let's focus on two main types of abstract: descriptive and informative, that students of social sciences and humanities usually need to complete their research work. Let's start with the descriptive abstract. What is useful? A descriptive abstract is used for humanities and social science papers or psychology essays. It also makes no judgments about the work, or it does not also provide results or conclusions of the entire research. It incorporates keywords found in the text and may include purpose, methods, and scope of the research work. It is usually very short. It's between 100 and 120 words or less, and it mostly describes the major points of the project. So as its name indicates, it's a descriptive in nature. Some people call it an outline of the work, and not rather than a summary. While the informative abstract, on the other hand, as its name indicates, it's informative in nature. It is used for social sciences, engineering, or psychology reports. It informs the reader of the essential points of the study, and it's almost about 250 plus words. It puts forward the arguments, results, and evidence of the paper, and includes the information as well as the results and conclusions of the research and the recommendations of the author. So briefly, abstracts can be either descriptive or informative. Descriptive abstracts describe the work being abstracted. They are more like an outline of the work and are usually very short, as I told you, very, very short. While the informative abstract act as substitutes for the actual papers, as all the key arguments and conclusions are presented, specifically the context and importance of the research, reasons for methods, principal results, and conclusions. In this slide, we will talk about constructing abstract. Now it's time to think about how to write abstracts. There are many steps to follow, actually. We start from read to the last one, which is proofread. Read over your paper and identify the key points for each section. After you read your paper and identify the key points, then you should reread each section and shrink the information in each down to 1 to 2 sentences. And then you need also to ensure you have written 1 to 2 sentences for each of the key points outlined above, and connect the ideas with appropriate transitions. Later, you think about adding or consider adding or removing text, any part of the text as needed. And also, this should be followed by checking the word length and further reduce your words if necessary by cutting out unnecessary words or rewriting some of the sentences into a single one. Then revision and proofreading followed by editing your text in order to provide flow and smooth presentation of your work. In this case, students, you need to write 3 to 4 introduction sentences by addressing your research topic, purpose, and questions, by asking just yourself, what do I do? What did the researcher do in this case? So you should provide all these necessary details by giving some introductory sentences. Later, you include 2 to 4 sentences by describing your research design, methods of data collection, and methods of analysis conducted in your study. And this is formulated by the following question: how did the researcher do it? Later, you write 1 to 3 sentences describing your findings and results. What did the author find? These are your findings. And finally, write 1 to 3 sentences describing your conclusions, recommendations, and further research by formulating the following question: what did the author conclude? So by collecting these 4 questions, what did the researcher do? How did the researcher do it? What did the author find? What did the author conclude? Indicate that you follow the right regulations of writing a research abstract by developing an effective abstract, in fact. The researchers, you also need to pay full attention to what to or what not to include in your abstract. Let's start with what's called does. I mean, what you should include in your research abstract. First of all, you should write or use passive verbs to downplay the author and emphasize the amount of information provided by you in your abstract. 2, use full forms, not acronyms or abbreviations or symbols and jargons. You should also use 1 thought per sentence. Make sure that verb tenses are consistent and more preferably written in present simple tense. For example, if you describe some kind of fact, you should be specific. You should mention the major implications of your study. You should get back all the time to your research purpose and questions. As I told you before, it takes a non-linear form, not one form or one pattern. You should write in a plain, unsimplified English, understandable to a wide audience, by, for instance, by writing complete and short sentences. You should write in a clear and concise style. And also, you should provide a list of keywords just at the bottom of your abstract page. These are the most significant points that you need to include in your research abstract. The researchers, please also pay attention to what not to include. For instance, please do not start with saying this paper or in this paper or something similar. I would rather, for instance, encourage you to say the main aim of this current research is to investigate, for example, or the major aim of this research is to explore, and so on. And also do not include references. Citing references should not be included in your abstract page. Do not repeat or rephrase your main title. The fourth one, do not include phrases like "it is believed that," "it is suggested that." Do not include the number of topics covered. I would like just to comment on this. It's believed that, it's suggested that. This should go to the body of your research, which is considered the essence of your discussion. All right, should not be included in your abstract. And also, please do not include the number of topics covered, nor mentioning the information that are not related to the paper. And also, do not end sentences with "is reported," "is described," "is analyzed," etc. The abstract should be about the research, not about the act of writing. Okay, just pay attention to this. Quotations from the original work should not include quotations, and also detailed explanations of concepts and terminology. So please just be aware of all these points. These should not be included by any means or for any reason in your abstract page. Well, dear students, I have included in this